Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, we are going to be speaking about Barcelona wanting to sign Joao Cancelo and Joao Felix permanently in the upcoming transfer window in January 2024. This is very surprising news because we thought that the loan deal was going to go all the way until the summer of 2024. We never even thought about Barcelona trying to sign these two players permanently in January, which is why it's some very surprising news. And so we are going to go into greater detail on why Barcelona want to have these two players permanently as soon as possible and what are going to be the other alternatives, right? Because it seems like Barcelona are willing to invest in these two players very early, but I do believe that Barcelona can put their resources in different players, which we are going to be talking about in this video again. So if you guys are new here, welcome to the channel. I'm happy that you guys are here. If you guys are Barcelona fans, this is going to be the channel for you guys, where we do talk about everything regarding FC Barcelona. And sometimes we do even talk about football in general. So even if you guys are football fans, again, this is going to be the channel for you guys. And if you guys want to support this YouTube channel, if you guys like this video, please feel free to subscribe and of course like the video. So again, thank you so much for tuning in, and so let's get straight to it. It does state here, according to Fernando Polo, that Barcelona want to sign Joao Cancelo and Joao Felix permanently in January. Manchester City values Joao Cancelo at 25 million euros, but Barcelona and Joan Laporta only want to pay 15 million euros. For Joao Felix, the club values him at 40 million euros. And so I can see why Barcelona want to permanently sign these two players, because there is a lot of positive vibes, right? In the past 4 to 5 months, they have been very decent, very solid. Like, when was the last time we had loanees in the squad and were able to be a huge part of Barcelona's success through the season? Like, really, tell me when. So Joao Cancelo and Joao Felix exceeded their expectations, which is why I understand why Barcelona are so optimistic about the Joao brothers. And I think that if Barcelona end up only paying 15 million euros for Joao Cancelo, that is a steal, a huge steal. And I hope that does end up happening, because 25 million euros is still worth it for that type of right back or left back, but still 15 million euros, you can't go wrong with that. So in regards to Joao Felix, right? Joao Felix recently was having an interview and they asked him what he thinks about his current position with Barcelona, and also what he thinks about the comparisons between Barcelona and Atletico Madrid. And this is what he stated, and I quote, "For sure, I prefer this style at Barcelona, me as every player. And even if you ask the players from Atletico Madrid too, they would prefer to play more time on the attack, for sure. If they don't answer that, then they are lying." And that is him speaking to ESPN. And this is what I have always said in the past 4 to 5 weeks. I have said Joao Felix, for the first time since he moved away from Benfica 4 years ago, he is now going to a team where that team is going to be playing very attacking football. And Joao Felix will be able to showcase his true qualities, because in the past 2 or 3 years, he has been in teams where they play very defensive. They're not a team that likes to have the ball 100% of the time. Teams like Chelsea and Atletico Madrid don't give you that type of attacking momentum. But at Barcelona, you get that. And that is why we see Joao Felix prospering at the club. And that is why he says it's much better to play at Barcelona than Atletico Madrid. And then he continues to state this to Movie Star, and I quote, "I'm so happy at Barcelona. I'm adapting so well. I feel good, and some for my family. We'll see what happens in 2024. So I am liking everything that I have been hearing about Joao Felix. And I truly believe that he is starting to become a true student to Xavi Hernandez, right? Because we did also discuss that what if Joao Felix comes to Barcelona and he gives a bad attitude? Because we have seen him not give the best attitude in the past 2 or 3 years, right? Looking very disappointed, putting his face to the ground, not really feeling inspired about what he is doing. We have seen that at Chelsea and also at Atletico Madrid. But under Xavi Hernandez, everything just looks different, right? The vibe is just different. For example, in that game against Porto, on the 54th minute, Xavi does tell Joao Felix that this is your moment and this is what you have to do. Felix nods, he goes back into the pitch, and 3 minutes later, Joao Felix scores, which was a very important goal. And that to me is everything. That to me tells me that yes, Joao Felix is a student for Xavi Hernandez, and he listens to his coach. He feels inspired by the coach and what he says, and he follows the instructions. And we need players like that. As for Joao Cancelo, he is a big occasion player, meaning that he has scored a couple of goals that led towards Barcelona getting very important points. He has scored 3 goals so far this season, which is equaling the record for his best scoring season of his career. And those 3 goals that Joao Cancelo has scored so far, one of them is a La Liga goal of the month, another one is the match winner against Celta Vigo, and the other one is the equalizer for the match against Porto, which did happen just recently. So he does arise to the occasion a lot. And it's very funny to like really think about this, right? But one of our best attackers in Barcelona, it is Joao Cancelo. It's not Rafinha, it's not Lamine Yamal, it's not Lewandowski. One of the top ones, it is Joao Cancelo. And he's not even a real attacker. He's a left back, or he is a right back. But let's step away from that just for a second, right? Because now I do want to talk about our alternatives, right? Because I think that if Barcelona are so willing to invest their money in January, I think that they should really invest their money elsewhere and just to continue to have the loan spell go through until summer 2024. And I'm going to be explaining what I mean by this because I don't know why Joan Laporta is on a rush to sign these two players permanently in January. Because just think about it, right? Barcelona are also saying they're willing to spend 55 million euros to permanently sign the two players, even though they're still eligible to be on loan until the summer. And I think that if Barcelona really want to invest their money, they should reinforce other positions, not to permanently sign Joao Felix and Joao Cancelo yet. I think the central defensive midfield position should be a position that should be prioritized over these two players, and especially knowing that Gavi is going to be out for the next 9 months. So it just makes more total sense to put your resources on a central defensive midfielder, because in total they're spending 55 million euros, right? And I went to transfer market to understand, okay, what's in the market? Are there any players available that's a defensive midfielder that is worth around 55 million euros? Because maybe I could be wrong. Maybe Barcelona are looking at the market and they're saying, okay, there's no one that we can get for 55 million euros that we like and is high quality. We might as well just spend this money on Joao Cancelo and Joao Felix. And so I was looking at the list, and I want you guys to like really look at this list. Tell me, who do you see in this list that we have talked about before? And a lot. You can see here, number 12, Martin Zubimendi, who is not even worth 55 million euros. He's worth 40 million euros. We can even talk about worst case scenario. Let's talk about Real Sociedad saying we want 50 million euros for Zubimendi. That is still less than the amount of money they're willing to put up for Felix and Cancelo combined. And Zubimendi is the exact defensive midfielder that Xavi Hernandez wants, and he's 24 years old. Now you may say, but Kevin, you're forgetting the wage bill, right? You have to remember that Zubimendi is going to be just another player adding more money into our wage bill. But again, like I have said, you have to look at the whole squad, and you have to look at who don't we need and what positions do we need to reinforce. And if you look at the whole squad, there's two players that I honestly don't think Barcelona need. That is Marcos Alonso and Oriol Romeu. Those two players that came in for free. Releasing those two players in January would allow us to have more space in the wage bill. And then if you look at Zubimendi's salary at the moment, you're telling me Barcelona cannot afford to pay this player 3 million euros a year gross. You're telling me Barcelona cannot do that. And by the way, this is like around 1.9 million euros net. He can definitely fit the wage bill. And I think that is only going to help Barcelona more if they let go of the players that they don't need. Like for example, Marcos Alonso. So this move makes so much sense, right? Because again, I'm hearing that Barcelona want to commit and they're willing to spend some money in January. So spend the money on Zubimendi and introduce his wages into ours because it could fit. So in the end, right, going back to Joao Cancelo and Joao Felix, these are two players who I see very confident right now. They clearly want to succeed. They look very hungry, and it is just a matter of placing these two players in their correct positions and where they can be the most efficient. I think that having Cancelo on the left back position with Felix on the left wing position, it is the most ideal and the way forward. But again, even with them being at their absolute best, it does not mean that Barcelona should just sign these two players permanently in January. I think that they should move for somebody else in January after they introduce Vitor Roque. And then after a further 6 months with Felix and Cancelo being at the club, we will have further data on how these two players did at their time in FC Barcelona. Now, another quick question that I do want to answer is, but Kevin, what about Gabriel Moscardo? Because many have been asking me, what happened to Moscardo? I thought that was going to be our next central defensive midfielder. But there has been sources coming from Brazil that has stated that Gabriel Moscardo is one step away from joining PSG for 25 million euros. And one of the reasons why Moscardo is definitely going to be leaving in January is because he has been asking for a fast move to Europe. Like, he wants to rush to Europe. He's not willing to wait for nobody, and whoever comes out with the best deal, he'll go there. And yes, it's true that Chelsea have attempted to bring in Moscardo, but I feel like Moscardo is looking for a specific bag. In other words, a specific salary that he does want to see on paper. And I understand where these Brazilians are coming from, because most of these Brazilian players do come from dirt poor. So of course they're going to be prioritizing the money they're going to be receiving in Europe. So I get it. I understand that. I know that it does seem greedy from our end, but I understand where these players are coming from, because, you know, money is good. Money is something that can fix your life problems and your family problems, most importantly. So again, I understand where Moscardo is coming from, but we also have to understand where Barcelona is standing. And Barcelona have no interest in going for players that are looking for the biggest bag, because Barcelona is not in the position to do that, which is why I feel like we're going to lose out on this Brazilian central defensive midfielder. The only way we can win on signing these Brazilian players is if the players themselves are saying, I only want to move to Barcelona. I'm willing to wait to have like the biggest bag in about 6 to 7 years. Like for example, Vitor Roque and Estevao Willian, two players that are really prioritizing their sporting success and wanting to only move at Barcelona before even thinking about how much salary they are going to be gaining. And so that is it. That is going to be it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.